Welcome to our Global Social Witnessing Call. My name is Kosha, and I'm currently serving as the CEO of the Pocket Project with a fantastic team, closely collaborating with Thomas, who's the co-founder of the Pocket Project. And this is our second Global Social Witnessing Call to the Ukraine and the third in the field of Thomas. So we're really building one call on the other, and today addressing the Ukraine crisis, which is a war, cultivating global social witnessing in the face of war, and really appreciating that Thomas is back with us today. It's very touching to have this continuing process of coming together, deepening our experiences by witnessing each other and bringing our shared witnessing presence to the situation as it is continuing to unfold. And we're very aware that today here we're beyond 1 month after the invasion started. So we're also in a very specific time flow of our presencing of the situation. And since the invasion started, Putin's invasion into the Ukraine, and also the continuing war crimes against the Ukrainian people, many of us have been deeply touched, shaken. Some of us might have had to leave our homes. And yeah, it's been an activation also, I think, in probably all of us of trauma that has to do with war or totalitarian abuse of power that we might all carry on some levels in our ancestral lineages, in the histories of our countries. So on some levels, we are all touched. And as Otto Scharmer stated in a recent blog post, I think the war shows blind spots also in all of us. It shows Putin's blind spots as he is, and the Russian army has been taken by surprise by the courage and the resolve of the Ukrainian people. And not just the military people, but everyone. Also by the courageous leadership of Zelensky, and how the people of the Ukraine have been collaborating for their collective defense and survival, supporting each other to leave the country where necessary, in a way that has really touched and inspired many in the world. And I think the second surprise has come from Russian civil society, where anti-war demonstrations have taken place in thousands of cities. 7,000 Russian scientists signed an open letter against the war. And right now there is a talk of a brain drain, as more than 200,000, and some put the numbers much higher, young Russians have already fled to neighboring countries. Yeah, amidst the situation where anyone in Russia expressing support for the Ukraine could face jail sentences of up to 20 years. Yeah, and the war is also showing up the blind spots in the West, where the lack of a timely and conscious healing process of the continuing East-West divide in Europe, in the world, and also a healing process of the wounds of the past from the Second World War and beyond, really led into possibly a lack of response in terms of stopping NATO's expansion into the East. Yeah, so with all that happening, we are here today to continue to grow our collective awareness, and hopefully also from our collective awareness, our ability to act in ways that support. And we will Thomas will do a brief introduction, also deepening into the practice of global social witnessing, where we bring our human presence into an embodied presence as we witness and presence mindfully attend to the events in the world, shifting from being a mere bystander to becoming an active witness, responding from our bodies and our hearts and not just our minds. And at the end of the call, we'll also share about the Ukraine Aid Project, which the Pocket Project is starting now, setting up as part of our contribution from our shared awareness to minimize the continuous unfolding of trauma, polarization, and fragmentation, and help to cultivate creativity, collaboration, and heartfulness in the face of the war. So in a minute, I'll hand over to Thomas, and I just want to say a few words about Thomas. Most of you will know Thomas from other frameworks, but just in case you don't, Thomas Hübl is a renowned teacher and international facilitator who has led online and in-person courses, collective trauma integration processes with tens of thousands of people around the topics of collective trauma, relational competencies, and healing. And he's done this for more than 18 years now. And his gentle and highly perceptive approach, listening deeply to each participant, allows for a very safe and compassionate environment that values openness and group listening. Yeah, so as you start landing in this call today, we also invite you to already start attuning to whether towards the second half or the third of the call, whether you might be interested in sharing from your experience. And we're specifically calling on people who've been directly affected by the situation. If so, please send a short message about maybe very briefly outlining the essence of the experience you would like to share about, and also the relationship that you have to the war in the Ukraine, to the team chat. And thank you, Thomas, for being with us here today, and over to you.
Warm welcome to everyone from my side too. As Kosha already mentioned, we are coming together to, in a way, also transcend our status as a bystander into a status of an active contemporary witness, because we are, as a community, like many people online right now, we also become a resonance body. And in the collective trauma work, we are interested in healing the gap between what we can think and understand about the situation also, and how we experience the situation, to heal the gap between thinking and sensing into like a unified sense making, so that what I feel and what I can think and comprehend becomes one big flow, like one flow through me. And that can lead into action, that can lead into contributing, serving, giving, being part of. But it also that process might also reveal where actually it's hard for me to be a contemporary witness, especially when we are witnessing a very traumatizing event. And since we all carry, and especially if you're connected to the European history through our ancestry, we all carry parts of the Second World War, the Holocaust, the Cold War, like we carry, and other traumatic events. we carry that inside. So wherever we are hurt or traumatized, we can't fully represent a current event in ourselves. And what that does is either it splits my experience in two. And one part of it is that I get very stressed, that I get very overwhelmed, over-agitated, excited. Or I touch places in me that where I'm numb, where I'm distant, where I'm dissociated, and I don't feel much. I become indifferent. And our calls, in a way, are ways how we take action to reveal the hyperactive part, the over exaggerated response, and we become aware of the numbing part, which especially now that the situation is going on already for over a month, it changed its character from being an acute shock to many people into us being every day aware of a strongly traumatizing experience, that millions of refugees coming into all the neighboring countries, and maybe some of us or many of us are also contributing to support refugees in our countries. So that's definitely an amazing service that we see, that many people are taking a lot of action to support, which is a unifying act as well. And we see a lot of that beauty and a lot of resources coming towards the situation. But it also might lead to a place that I'm actually becoming a bit tired of receiving a lot of trauma information every day, so that I step by step might retract and close myself off a bit. So I think our call today is also to reassess how I am staying in relation without drowning in the overwhelm, without drowning in the indifference, but still staying connected as a human being that has a sensing and a thinking and an acting available to make a difference, and make the difference that every one of us is able to make. And it's not only because some of us might get overwhelmed by the thought, okay, I need to do something big in order to make a meaningful contribution. I think every contribution is meaningful as long as it fits to our possibilities of influence. So it doesn't mean only great contributions are great. Every contribution is great, because whatever I can give adds to the collective responsiveness. And I think responsiveness, or collective responsiveness, is a very powerful quality in us as human beings. And it's not only what we give, it's also that we collectively engage makes a difference. It's not the actions themselves, it's the intention and the quality of response. And I often compare that responsiveness as like an immune reaction. That we are together the collective immune system. And the more people become, as William Ury says, the third side, we are the third side. We are embracing a conflict that not only happens between Ukraine and Russia, it's a conflict that happens for all of us. Like in the body, the immune system says, no, I'm not going there because it's my liver. It's different from me because I'm the immune system. But the immune system takes care of the entire body. So, and every person on the planet is part also of an immune system that can respond to especially violent conflicts that we have as a global community. And I think the technology that we have available right now that connects us is also the technology that makes it possible that billions of people can actually be part of that immune response. And I think that's a tremendous power. And if we are not ending up just in the fragmentation and in the reactivity, but in a true sensing and that's what our calls are about. If we develop our true sensing and relationality to the situation, I think that's where we are at our best, through the actions, but also through awareness, that they are not two, but there are two sides of a coin. And so global social witnessing is a kind of an awareness-based system intervention, if you want to call it like that. It's an awareness-based process that allows me to get to know in a little bit of a slowed down version, because in trauma we always speed up, and it's good because we need to respond and save lives, but we also need to digest in order not to slowly burn out, but to stay fresh as we're responding. So we need also places like here where we can digest our experience. We can digest it in community, in healing communities, where we create a field together, like a social field, a social presence that supports every one of us to digest our experience. Because even if we can't see each other, later we will do a short contemplative practice, we can sense each other. And many people from many different places are dialing in right now into this call. And we can, through, first of all, individual reflection, but then also through the fact that we hold a space for people that are closer affected by the situation or closely affected to share, and we become the resonance body. And that gives me a chance to see how much can I stay in a felt relation to what I hear, to what's happening in the world, and when do I hit my pre-existing trauma. And given the fact that, especially, as I said before, in Europe, but also in other places, many of us have an ancestral history that our grandparents, our parents, our great-grandparents were part of the Second World War. So we carry blind spots inside. We are also part of the blind spot that can lead up to a war. And we can't just externalize that to the countries or to the leaders or to the places in power, because there's a long history that led up to the current situation. And I think for every one of us to get to know our blind spots and also our own participation, which might show up as all the difficult feelings and sensations, the stress that we feel, the fear, the anger, the grief, the absence, the numbness, all of that is part where how the collective shadow or the collective trauma speaks in us. For many people, for example, in the German-speaking world, especially Austria and Germany, our grandfathers might have been part of the war in Russia. And like that, we are intimately and closely related to the trauma that led up to the current situation. So whatever comes up in us today is not just an annoyance, it's actually an attempt of life to digest the unresolved past. That's also the work that we didn't do in the last 30, 40 years properly in order to discharge the energy that leads to a conflict. So we need to do it now. And we also need to stay in a place to be responsive and act and save life and see how, as fast as possible, we can stop the violence and come to a different form of negotiation, of course. That's the first priority. That also, as William Ury also says, the third side comes in as protection, comes in, how can we stop the violence? How can we be of support to come back to a negotiation so that the traumatization stops and we come back to a different form of relation. And so for today, since I would love to give enough time for everybody to share, let's take a moment, since we are all, I think, many of us that are also following often what's happening and what are the current developments might feel the toll that takes on ourselves and how it affects us. So maybe we can have together like a short kind of inward awareness-based journey to look closer, will guide us to create this space for ourselves to digest first what we are going through as witnesses, as being exposed to news, being exposed to people that are affected, maybe being exposed and supporting refugees and how that affects us. So we will make a space to digest, because every psychological or inner experience, we need some space to reflect, a space to digest, and to integrate the experience into learning so that we are more effective in serving and responding. And so let's take a moment all together where we take a moment, we take a breath, and you can just see, in relation to you being a witness, a contemporary witness of the war in Ukraine, Russia, what's your inner experience like right now, meaning your physical, emotional experience? Like, you take a screenshot and then take your breath as an aid or as a support to allow your exhalations. Every time you exhale, allow your breath to take you deeper into your body awareness, and just connect to the places in your body where you feel yourself well and present, even if there's also tension or stress or anything else. But for now, first we want to connect to the places where we are present in our bodies, where I immediately feel my body when I put my attention there. And you can also slow down your exhalation a little bit and let the exhalation take you deeper into your body awareness. Maybe you feel your body more tingling, flowing, pulsing. You feel aliveness in your body, the areas where you feel yourself well. And from that place, take a moment to also check in with your current level of stress. When you ask yourself, how stressed do I feel right now? Maybe I feel very little stress, medium, high. Or maybe I don't feel myself well. When we are really, really stressed, sometimes we become numb. So we can't even tell. And all of that's fine. We just bring awareness to it, and to look how we fix it, and to embrace the sensations of stress with some gentle awareness. And also, when you find yourself, what kind of emotional space are you in? Being exposed to maybe a lot of news or conversations, actions, aid programs, support of very affected families and refugees. What does this leave you with? What's the emotional experience? And then for a moment, look at you, feel yourself, you feel your body, your emotions. What is aware that you feel yourself? I feel my body. I'm aware that I feel my body. What is aware? What's the part of you that is awareness or aware? And from that place that you can witness yourself and witness your engagement in the situation, let's take a look how you're dealing with the entire situation at the moment. Do you feel you're still in a felt relation? Did it overwhelm you at a certain point or right from the beginning? You feel you needed to disconnect at a certain point to be in your life? On the other end of the spectrum, do you feel compulsively over engaged with news and information so that you feel constantly activated or stressed? Or more in the center, that you allow yourself to be informed without without over consuming information, without shutting it off, and staying engaged. And whatever is your experience, we just want to bring it to our attention. We don't want to label it, oh, that's good or that's bad, or I'm doing it right or wrong. I want to just bring attention to what's my current state. Maybe there is a need to have some space to digest also, to make a space to reflect and digest. So to see if you isolate yourself in the current situation, or if you have enough relational support, people, friends, colleagues, professionals if needed, where you can digest through conversation and relation. And if you're making use of that, to stay connected to the collective intelligence, that we can process this together. And then my last question is, so when you reflect on what you chose to contribute, what did you choose to contribute so far? And is there anything else that when you have some moments of reflection that you can choose to contribute still? So what did you choose to contribute? And is there anything else that shows up in a moment of reflection that is in your sphere or area of influence that you can contribute? And then slowly let's take a couple of deeper breaths and come back. Feel your body well.